Ayubowan, Vanakkam, welcome. Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale. Olympic Values Education Program conducted by the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka. This is conducted in order to facilitate the learning of Olympic educational values, joy of effort, fair play, respect for others, pursuit of excellence and balance between body, will and mind, and influence the behavior of young people, and to practice these values in the society as well as to take them to their schools and create a harmonious personality for the betterment of the country. It's the first of its kind happening here and deviating from the normal setup of a debate. Out of 20 schools from Colombo and Kandy districts, we got these two very talented teams. We have Sirimavo Bandanayake Vidyalaya and Mahamaya Girls College selected for the grand finale. And let me now introduce the two teams which will be here for the battle.
Sirimavo Bandanayake Vidyalaya, Colombo, led by Ennuri Veerasinghe, Ravinya Veerakone, Rosara Dayaratne. Mahamaya Girls College, Kandy, led by Apurva Ekanayaka, Sara Pereira, Tinali Ratnayaka.
Those two being the two teams which will be here for the battle today, Kandy versus Colombo, and the best three speakers of the winning school will get the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of representing Sri Lanka at the Young Participation Session of the International Olympic Academy next year in ancient Olympia, Greece. So yes, your hard work will certainly be paid off in the year 2018. And reminding you that, let me introduce the Honourable Board of Judges.
Dr. Pulsara Lianage, Dr. Srinath Vijayatunga, Kanishka Ranavira, Technical Director, Group Captain Nalin De Silva.
That being said, before we begin the grand finale of Ovep Debater 2017, it's time to recall the memories, to walk down the memory lane where these two teams came from. Royal College versus Sirimavo Bandanayake Vidyalaya. That was one semi-final we had yesterday. And we do have Sirimavo Bandanayake Vidyalaya here in the finals.
Sirimavo Bandanayake Vidyalaya joined from the 10 schools of Colombo district for Ovep Debater 2017 pilot debate competition under the leadership of Ennuri Veerasinghe. Ravinya Veerakone and Rosara Dayaratne are the other members of the team. In the first rounds of the competition, they competed with the Anand College Colombo. Sirimavians were able to achieve the second place among the Super 8 according to the grading of the round by getting their points under the topic of fair play protects possible threats for sport. In the second round, also Sirimavo Vidyalaya had to face Anand College as their opponents. They were able to defeat Anand College by presenting points under the topic of quality of person's life is in the direct proportion of their commitment to excellence. These young debaters who entered the quarterfinals by showing their talents excelled by qualifying for semi-finals, defeating their opponents from St. Peter's College by presenting points under the topic of excellence is an attitude. During the crucial semi-final rounds, they defeated the Royalists as their opponents by making an excellent milestone of their journey by presenting their points under the topic of the 5 educational values could enrich the external and internal values by practicing sports by every human.
And also, we have Mahamaya Girls College Kandy with us today. They had to face St. Anthony's College Katugastata in the semi-finals.
Mahamaya Girls College joined the competition from the 10 schools of Kandy district under the leadership of Apurva Ekanayaka.
As an athlete, it helps you how sports help us develop.
They competed with High School Kandy at the first rounds by explaining their points under the topic of joy of effort is the binding threads of life. According to the grading of that round, Mahamaya College won the last place of the list, that is the 8th place among the Super 8. Mahamavians competed with the Hillwood College in the second round by making points under the topic of joy of effort helps athlete to practice sport as a part of life and got qualified for the quarterfinals by achieving first place of the grading list by exhibiting their high spirit. During the quarterfinals, Mahamaya Girls College got qualified for the semi-finals by defeating Trinity College by presenting their points through the topic of practice of excellence leads for healthy choices of training. In the crucial semi-final round, they presented their points under the topic of the glory of true essence of sports could only be reached through practicing the 5 Olympic educational values in practicing sports by every human, and defeated their opponents from St. Anthony's College and entered the threshold of victory.
Reminding you the 2 topics that we'll be having for the final debate. It is as this. Srimavu Bandanayaka Vidyalaya will be talking on sports serves beyond a conservative social function only through practicing the 5 Olympic educational values from childhood. And Mahamaya Girls College Kandy will be speaking on democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic educational values in every aspect of sport. So yes, now all is set for the battle. Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale. Let me invite the first speaker of the day, representing Srimavu Bandanayaka Vidyalaya, Enuri Veerasinghe.
Despite the millions of dollars and pounds pumped into the arena, sport is yet limited to the traditional and most ongoing outlook and its conservative function. This conservative social function leads men to become legends and failures, forgotten and thrown away into banished territories. Honorable panel of judges, ladies and gentlemen, sport serves beyond a conservative social function only through practicing the 5 Olympic values from childhood. We elaborate the topic, the conservative social functions of sports that go beyond the limits of conservative functions. We emphasize the fact the 5 Olympic educational values are the only mechanism to go beyond the conservative limits of the functions of sports. We also emphasize this particular mechanism should be implemented from childhood, not in the latter part of life. Sports can be defined as a competitive, all forms of competitive physical activities or games which have organized or casual participation. Different definitions came into account with different social circumstances. In a certain era, sport was just a methodology to show the strength. They competed for food, to ensure the survival. They competed for women. At this particular time, sports was something all till death. In later, more friendlier versions came onto ground. With the time, entertainment in sports was discovered, and onwards, they enjoyed the physical strengths. Golden rule of sports is Olympism. Olympism is the language of peace and harmony. Look at the 5 Olympic educational values. See how efficient they are to be inculcated in one's life. Joy of effort, fair play, respect for others, pursuit of excellence, and the balance between body, will, and mind. The conservative social function of sports are only limited to victory and defeat. The functions of sports beyond the conservative limits are: sport is a universal language that can be addressed to each and every human live on the earth who speaks about 6,500 languages. When Usain Bolt was sprinting, we all felt that a part of us was running together with him, irrespective of his color, race, nationality, and his ideologies. We feel the same when Michael Phelps swims. Coubertin's revival of modern Olympics has not achieved yet. In the 21st century, we demand, the society itself demand for the functions beyond the conservative social aspects. Thank you.
Time to have the first speaker from Mahamaya Girls College, Kandy, and we have Apurva Ekanayaka.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our topic for today is democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic values in every aspect to a sport. So allow me to talk about how democracy is generally found in sport. My second speaker will be talking about how people practicing fair play and practicing respect will facilitate in achieving the democracy of sport, while my third speaker will be talking about how people practicing joy of effort, pursuit of excellence, and balance between body, will, and mind will facilitate in achieving the democracy in sport. Throughout the debate, for the purpose of this debate, we will be addressing democracy as equality. Democracy is the practice of principles of social equality. Democracy in sport is providing everybody with equal opportunities when engaging in a sport. The 5 educational values of Olympism, they are based on the fundamental principles of Olympism, incorporating joy of effort, fair play, practicing respect, pursuit of excellence, balance between body, will, and mind. Democracy in sport. So, how does democracy come in sport? Well, if you take the Olympics have different versions of Olympics. For example, there is Paralympics for the disabled people. There is Deaflympics. There is Youth Olympics. There is Special Olympics for the intellectually disabled people. All those versions are further divided into Winter and Summer Olympics. Let me give an example. Punsara Disanayaka, who was 19 years old, lived like a recluse before joining Special Olympics. She had autism. She was reluctant to go to school because of the constant fear of getting bullied, and she was timid and bad-tempered and refused to even speak to her 2 young sisters. But after entering into Special Olympics, they accepted her as part of the rest of the world. And that's how democracy is promoted, through sport. In sport, it gives you equal representation. So there's another example I would like to say. James Karen Butler, an American professional basketball player who played for the Sacramento Kings and the National Basketball Association. He was a drug dealer when he was age 11. But these are not boundaries for sport. A person can be bad, but not when it comes to sport. In society, he could be branded as a bad person, but not in sport. Sport does not consider country or race. It does not consider any of these factors, but everybody is equally represented. So what I would like to say is, democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic values in every aspect to a sport. Thank you.
And next we have Ruvinya Virakon of Srimavo Bandanayaka Vidyalaya.
In the very beginning of history of Greek Olympics, the game festival was introduced in the name of Zeus. where tribal fights were stopped for a considerable time period and ancient Greek tribes were unified in the arena for the sake of sport. All Greeks believed that an ideal person should have a Sparta mind and an Sparta body and an Athens mind. Ladies and gentlemen, this emphasizes that sport is not only for personal physical glory, but it contains a social function and something beyond that. From ancient time onwards, mankind was struggling in search of a mechanism to achieve this ultimate target. Even in today's contest, we only see that we are looking for heroes and victory as a general outcome of sport. Even in modern day Olympics, countries compete to grab the maximum number of medals in order to show their superiority. In other words, the outcome of most of the sporting events ends within the conservative concept of its social function. My point is, mere engagement in sport is not sufficient to go beyond its social functions. They say that playing football in Brazil is a ticket out of poverty. Can't we say that same thing about cricket in Sri Lanka? We only see that players take part in sports targeting their personal gains, deliberately ignoring their social obligations. But the tragedy is that they still struggle within the conservative boundaries. As my first speaker elaborated, the social function of sport that goes beyond its conservative limits is a far more humanitarian approach. What we expect is a set of sportsmen who can function as leaders in the society. What we expect is a set of sportsmen who can be followed as social examples. What we expect is a set of sportsmen who contributes toward world peace and humanity. Moreover, what we expect is a set of sportsmen who function as true ambassadors of humanity. The other day, I was reading out loud the 5 Olympic educational values, repeatedly as a mantra, of course, just to gather what I actually feel from the meaning of the concept joy of effort, fair play, respect for others, pursuit of excellence, and balance between body, will, and mind. Ladies and gentlemen, what I felt was a sense of equal opportunity, equal treatment, justice, happiness, security, and responsibility, a healthy body and a mind. In other words, aren't they the exact purpose we identified as the social functions that goes beyond the set limits of the conservative approach? Based on the above argument, I say with authority that the 5 Olympic values are the ultimate mechanism that could expand the horizon of conservative social functions of sport. I propose a concept not just as a theme, but as a principle that must be followed. Let me conclude my speech by quoting a football coach, Knut Rockne, who believed in this vision. One man practicing good sportsmanship is far better than 50 others preaching it.
This is more than a debate. Ovep debated 2017, the grand finale. Well, yes, we had 3 speeches up to now, and yes, time to move on. We do have Sarah Pereira of Mahamaya Girls College, Kandy.
A pleasant day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the House. Today, I'll be taking the facts, fair play, and practicing respect to address our topic. Today's world population is approximately 7 billion. And the 7 billion of us has the right for equality, the right for democracy. But do you know that the ancient Greeks too adored sports? But there were some flaws in their plan. In ancient Olympics, they discriminated the right of women because they did not allow married women to participate for Olympics. This is a serious violation of democracy. But there were some Olympians who were brave enough to let their opponent face the challenge just like them. One of the most famous and brave Olympians of ancient Greece, Diagoras. Diagoras faced his opponent upright and upfront without crouching or holding back. This behavior of Diagoras shows how he never underestimated or disrespected his opponent. This is where true democracy lies, ladies and gentlemen. Well, coming back to the modern world, if Nikki Hamblin did not play fair in last year's Olympics, then the stricken American athlete Abby would have been left there in the track. But still, Nikki helped her. She helped her throughout the rest of the 5,000-meter race. and Abby was ever so grateful. Nikki received a Fair Play Award because she knew what equality was. She respected democracy. When the Egyptian judo player El Shehabi refused to shake hands with the Iranian player Osassan, disrespecting not just the player but the whole country he represented, that was a serious breach of democracy. Because this Egyptian player shattered the equality we stand today. Because no matter how talented you are, how different you can be, Olympics will always have a place for you, ladies and gentlemen. Olympics will always give you a place. Madeline Brew once said, "Sports knows no boundaries, borders, language, origin, religion, or skin color. Sport creates community and cohesion. Its culture is based on respect, fair play, and unlimited camaraderie." Unquote. What we all have to keep in mind is that the 5 educational values we talked about is the savior. It's the crystal path to democracy. Have you ever thought of making a difference in this world? Then one of the best options you can do is teach the younger generation of these values. Because we truly believe that Olympism can change the course of our country, can define a nation once again. So let's join the parade and make history. Thank you.
Well, the main objective behind this project conducted by the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka is to practice these 5 Olympic educational values in the society and also to take these to the schools of these talented personalities that we have here at the grand finale. So yes, time to have the next speech, and it's going to be Rosara Daratna from Srimavo Bandanayaka Vidyalaya.
Gentlemen, the year was between the 1st century BC and the 2nd century AD. The Colosseum was filled with thousands of Romans. The crowd was cheering and shouting. The 2 gladiators fighting till death. One loses, unable to move, and raises his finger, pleading for mercy, but the penalty towards defeat was ultimate death. Humanity used to call that sports. It was a demonstration of strength, a search for strength. It was a search for capabilities of human physics. It was a show of the powerful, dominating over the weak. As my second speaker explained, humanity was engaged in a voyage of discovery in search of more softer versions of sports, which resulted in thousands of different sports events that take place today. Then they discovered that sports are not only an individual or a group activity, but a language, not just a language, but a universal language that influenced the whole mankind. When Mahela Jayawardena made a public cry asking for the donations to build the cancer hospital, the response was spontaneous. Then they studied different characters of sportsmen and discovered that victory is not the ultimate sportsmanship they look for. When Muthaiya Muralidharan was a target of international conspiracy, we felt that there was a missing piece in social function in sports. When Diego Maradona, who was one of the greatest footballers ever, took drugs, we felt that there was a missing piece. In the plight that we see the said social function of sports that go beyond the conservative limits only as a rare example, but not as general behavior. In 2000 FIFA, the Italian player Paolo Di Canio's respect showed for the opponent goalkeeper who was injured was only a rare instance. But it is not the general approach of the average football player. Past few weeks, I was browsing the internet looking for an available solution for this situation, studying the characters of different sportsmen. As emphasized by my colleague, having identified and being convinced that the 5 Olympic educational values are the true and the only mechanism to take sports beyond its conservative parameters. Where did we fail in this implementation? The error I could identify was that we try to teach, or rather enforce these 5 Olympic educational values to mature sportsmen who already have developed their own ideologies about practicing sports and achieving victory. I say their minds are impregnable. It is a time-tested psychological concept that what children experience in their tender age automatically includes into their adulthood behavior. My exact point and suggestion is that we must introduce these 5 Olympic educational values in the form of sport activities both in kindergarten and primary school levels and evaluated system based on them. I emphasize that it is the missing piece of the puzzle and kept us stagnating. Over to you.
Well, yes, time to have Tinali Ratnayaka of Mahamaya Girls College, Kandy.
A bunch of cells become a human when value is inculcated. A human becomes civilized when democracy is implemented. To tell you how this democracy can be achieved in sport with the values of joy of effort, pursuit of excellence, balance between body, will and mind is my task for the day. Wishing you a very pleasant morning, ladies and gentlemen. At the 2016 Rio Olympics, the Norwegian team for handball was defeated by Germany. A few days later, the committee finds out that Germany actually had an extra player onto the field when the winning goal was scored. Why did the Norwegian team keep quiet about this? We call this pursuit of excellence. What they wanted was not a gold medal or a silver medal. What they wanted was to do their very best. They didn't bother about how good another team did because what they wanted to do was pursue excellence. They also was awarded the Pierre de Coubertin Award for their graceful attitudes. If an athlete doesn't dope, if an athlete doesn't cheat, if an athlete plays fair and square and respects everyone's right to expose their own excellence, that is democracy. The black American runaway slave John Taylor ended up being the world's first African-American gold medalist at the 1908 London Olympics because he had the willpower, he had the strong mindset, he had the physique, and he fought for equality. He was a pioneer of sport democracy. Adolf Hitler, not a very big fan of equality, I might say. At the 1936 Berlin Olympics, when with the presence of Adolf Hitler, the Germany competitor for long jump, Luz Long, went over to Jesse Owens, a black American long jump competitor. Black Americans was not a race which was adored by Adolf Hitler. Went over to Jesse Owens and advised him on long jumping. And later, Jesse Owens wins the gold medal at this event, and he proceeds to say that the very reason why he won this gold medal is because Luz Long helped him out with advice. And the Pierre de Coubertin Award for courage was given to Luz Long for his achievement. Later, Jesse Owens goes on and says, I quote, "It took a lot of courage for him to befriend me in front of Hitler. You can melt down all the medals and cups I have, and they would be a plating on the 24-carat friendship that I felt for Luz Long at that moment," unquote. There was equality, there was democracy, the values of friendship, excellence and respect all in one. Susantika Jayasinghe, one of Sri Lanka's well-known and adored sports athletes, was sexually harassed. That's right, sexually harassed by a government official before the year 2000 Sydney Olympics. Her cries were left unheard. But we're not here to rant, ladies and gentlemen. We are not here to complain. We are here to spark change. So why not start young? Teach a child to enjoy what they're doing. Teach a child to do your own best and not worry about winning. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the day when we will attain democracy. Let the 5 Olympic values enlighten the sports world with democracy. Thank you.
All of these 6 debaters have done their speeches now at the grand finale of Ovep Debate 2017. So yes, one last time for the leaders to speak on their topics. Yes, let me invite the leader of Sirimavo Bandaranaike Vidyalaya, who are trying to elaborate on sports serves beyond a conservative social function only through practicing the 5 Olympic educational values from childhood. Time to invite Enuri Veerasinghe.
We experience experience the modern day luxury life. But when analyzed, we realize it is more struggling when compared to all generations. Among the modern technology, we see the administrative bodies are desperate in the search of finding solutions for the problems. Committing suicide, imbalanced personalities, problems related to physical health, increase of mental stress, increase of crime rates, high increment of the left alone senior population, and the high increment of the youth engaged in misconduct. Today in the society, youth has left in lurch without knowing their real potentials. Elders are isolated in elder homes without knowing how to contribute and enjoy the latter part of their lives. We can see the society spending time to invent new drugs, laws, policies, new social and entertaining activities as solutions, but we see they are so far-fetched and fruitless. But imagine a younger generation who has been taught from their childhood to enjoy what they do, to conduct fair in what they do, to respect each other, and to be the best which they could be, with balanced personalities. In other words, a generation which is enriched along with the 5 Olympic educational values from childhood is the best solution for the upcoming problems. Throughout our motion, we emphasized on the significance of 2 phrases: beyond the conservative social function and from childhood. My mates brought up the points where the functions of sports beyond the conservative limits. What is the need of practicing the 5 Olympic educational values from childhood? The most accelerated developing period of life is the periods as a toddler or as a preschooler. When we inculcate the 5 values from the beginning of life at the transitional stages and afterwards, they achieve the ability to get onto themselves and conduct themselves in the right manner. Although with diverse backgrounds, this particular bringing up of the child will ensure that he will be an individual with a dignity. I suggest a new school model for practicing the Olympic values. Imagine a primary school embraced with the policy of education, learning through movement, where they keep the balance in body and mind throughout the activities. Imagine a teacher coming into a class and explaining the importance of the 5 values of education in a school. Imagine about the school anthems that proudly sing the importance and implement of the 5 Olympic values. Imagine about evaluation and report cards with 50% of allocation for sports, but with the real spirit. Despite the piles of money spent, the boost the society in health and educational aspects of humor with independence, free thinking, beyond the stereotype thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, dear girls. Yes, that was the team of Srimavo Bandaranaike Vidyalaya. And yes, time to have the final speech of Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale. Mahamaya Girls College team was trying to prove that democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic educational values in every aspect of sport. So yes, time to invite Apurva Ekanayaka of Mahamaya Girls College, Canada.
Once again, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my duty to give the sum up for my team and to give you the conclusion. The topic for today was democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic educational values in every aspect of sport. So, when talking about sport, ladies and gentlemen, sport has democracy in it. In the fundamentals of Olympism, it's said that sport is based on the 5 educational values. So sport has democracy in it. But written somewhere, sport having democracy, saying like that and written somewhere else doesn't make it, it doesn't practice. You can't practice it without an athlete or somebody who is involved in sports. If he or she doesn't practice or respect that democracy in sport, that won't be activated. So what should be done is for for these athletes, anybody who is involved in sports, should be inculcated with these 5 Olympic educational values so that they will respect the democracy in sport. So today we were giving a general idea about the democracy in sport and then how each Olympic educational value can be practiced to achieve democracy. And my teammates were drawing in characters in the sports arena to prove this. I would also like to add some characters into it. Well, the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games, Sugat Tilakaratne and Michael Johnson, Michael Johnson, they were competing for the 400-meter men's heat. Sugat Tilakaratne came first and Michael Johnson came second. But Michael Johnson was so furious that this man came first. And when Sugat Tilakaratne wanted to take a photograph, just to, he wanted to extend his friendship. He wanted to respect that person's excellence. So he was going near Michael Johnson to take a photograph. But then Michael Johnson rejected it. You know how he rejected it? His bodyguards came and took Sugat Tilakaratne away. So is this democracy in sport? What Michael Johnson lacked is he thought he was unbeatable. He was not unbeatable. The thing he should have thought is everybody else was unbeatable as well. But it did not have in this person's mind. So democracy in sport was not there in him. He did not have joy of effort. He did not have pursuit of excellence. He was just not respecting democracy in sport. So what I would like to say is, the message I would like to say is, as this team suggested, inculcate these Olympic educational values in the child's mind. It's extremely important that a child learns it. That's the only way that those children can achieve democracy in sport. So once again, let me stress upon the point that democracy in sport can only be achieved by practicing the 5 Olympic education values in every aspect of sport. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, dear girls. That was the team of Mahamaya Girls College, Kandy. Well, yes, Ovep Debate 2017. This is conducted by the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka and supported by the International Olympic Committee. It's not just a competition. It's not just a debate, what you see in your day-to-day life, in your school maybe, but the sole objective of this pilot project is to practice, to understand, to take this to the society, the Olympic values to the society rather. So that's why we had 20 schools from Colombo and Kandy competing for Ovep Debate 2017, and finally we had these 2 schools today at the grand finale. So yes, it wasn't an ordinary debating competition as I mentioned before. So these girls had to put an extra effort onto this, as it is about Olympism. It is about their values, the values of the Olympics. So yes, time to have a final comment from the honorable panel of judges, and I would love to have the comments coming to you from the chief of the honorable panel of judges, Dr. Pulsara Lianage.
Thank you. I think all of us would agree that today we have seen many of the values of Olympism exhibited here today. Did you realize that the 2 teams here showed us the interesting and fascinating aspect of excellence, the pursuit of excellence? You have done it. This was a sport too. And you respected each other, everybody respected you, your points of view. That is also democracy. And the panel of judges will also will judge together, not individually. That is also an Olympic value. So, it's not only in physical sports that you can achieve Olympic qualities. This is what you were talking about today. It is done here. It is done here now, and you have experienced it today. And I think what the National Olympic Committee feels is that this generation and the 2 girls' schools from Colombo and Kandy will be the ambassadors of the Olympic values in Sri Lanka. Thank you for your effort.
Well, who will be able to make it to Greece Olympia next year? Whether it's going to be Kandy or whether it's going to be Colombo. We're going to bring you the results in a while, as this is Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale. You're joining the grand finale of Ovep Debater 2017. Yes, we are ready to bring you the results, as we had the two schools, one from Kandy and one from Colombo. Kandy versus Colombo, Mahamaya Girls College Kandy and Sri Mao Bandanak Vidyalaya from Colombo. As we are going to have the results officially being announced now, before that, we shall have the Honourable Judge Board to hand over the results officially to Mr. Maxwell De Silva, Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka. Dr. Pultraliyanage will do the honours of handing over the results. All right, and here I have the official results of Ovep Debater 2017, the grand finale. Is it Kandy or Colombo? Let's take a look, but before that, would love to have the two leaders onto my other sides. Yes? Okay, so now I know how you're feeling at this moment, because it was not an easy task. You had to come a long way up to now. 20 schools, 10 from Colombo, 10 from Kandy, and here they made it. Two girls' schools from Colombo and Kandy, they made it up to the final. So here we're going to have the results. Are you ready, girls? Yes. So let me announce the results. Let me start with the first runner-up. And the first runner-up of Ovep Debater Grand Finale 2017 is Sri Mao Balika Vidyalaya Colombo. And that leaves us the winners as Kandy. Mahamaya Girls College Kandy becomes the winners of Ovep Debater 2017. It was not an easy task, it seems, to get the winners out of these two competitive schools, according to the Honourable Judge Board. Well, yes, time to award these. First runner-up as well as the winners who are here with us today. Well, yes, and here I invite Mr. Maxwell De Silva, Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka, and also former Director of National Olympic Academy, immediate past President of Sri Lanka Tennis Association. And I also call upon Professor B.L.H. Pereira, Visiting Professor at University of Kelaniya, Director of Academic Programs, National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka, International Course Facilitator for Olympic Advanced Sports Management Program. And to award the first runners-up of Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale, Sri Mao Bandanak Vidyalaya Colombo, I invite Professor B.L.H. Pereira to award them. And the winners of Ovep Debater 2017 Grand Finale, Mahamaya Girls College Kandy, Mr. Maxwell De Silva will be awarding them. Ovep Debater 2017, it was conducted by the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka and supported by the International Olympic Committee. So this initiative, it was as a pilot project, and this is just the beginning. So we would love to know about this project being implemented, as well as what is the objective of this debate competition. So I would love to ask from Professor B.L.H. Pereira, who is the visiting professor at University of Kelaniya, Director of Academic Programs, National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka, about the concept of this entire project.
Actually, this program is derived from the ancient Greece. When Greek people had problems, they used this value debating as a solution. So that was an ancient situation. And actually this unique program, I don't call it as a competition, because it's a program where we're trying to patch up a missing link in Sri Lankan sport, which is values. So the best example, best thing that we could inculcate, use the Olympic values, educational values. Not the three Olympic values, but we were very much carefully crafted, selecting 5 educational values as a solution for this. That's the objective of this program.
Well, yes, that's the objective of Ovep Debate 2017. And I would like to ask from Mr. Maxwell De Silva, the Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka, with regards to the implementation of this project. It is the pilot project, but still, here we had 2 schools joining us from Kandy and Colombo up to the final. So how was this entire project? It looked up, and how was it to implement such a project?
It was a daunting task in doing and implementing any ideas in the world, particularly in Sri Lanka. And it is our desire and our idea to ensure that these 5 Olympic values is inculcated in our daily life, using sport as a vehicle in the minds of children in schools. So we thought we should start from the schools, and at least we can unite the country with all these values in a diverse country like Sri Lanka, to live in harmony with all people by respecting each other. And I believe we have started this. You have these 2 ambassadors here, 2 schools, and also we have another 18 schools working with us. I am pretty confident that this project will be the launching pad of a new Sri Lanka. Thank you.
And here we reach the end of Ovep Debate Grand Finale of the year 2017. It was a pilot project conducted by the National Olympic Committee of Sri Lanka, supported by the International Olympic Committee. We had 20 schools from Kandy and Colombo, and here we had 2 schools from the both districts, and Sirimau Bandaranaike Vidyalaya became the first runners-up, and Mahamaya Girls College Kandy became the winners, and they'll be able to make it to Greece Ancient Olympia next year. Well, yes, with that, with the hope of having and experiencing this, practicing these 3 values of Olympians, and that is friendship, excellence and respect. Let's practice this in the society, in our day-to-day life, and with that hope, let's say bye-byes to Ovep Debate 2017.